morning. Let's begin by reading John 5, verses 1 through 9. We're going to focus on the message on that today. Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days. Inside the city, near the sheep gate, was the pool of Bethesda, with 5 covered porches. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, or paralyzed, lay on the porches. One of the men lying there had been sick for 38 years. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, "Would you like to get well?" "I can't, sir," the sick man said, "for I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me." Jesus told him, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and walk." Instantly, the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. What are we looking for when we come to church? What are we looking for when we read the Bible? Sometimes we're looking for answers to our questions. Sometimes we're looking for ways to answer other people's questions. Or maybe we're looking to memorize or theorize or authorize or legitimize something that we already believe. W.C. Fields was not only a humorist, he wasn't a really great guy, actually, and he was an atheist. But one day a reporter came upon him in his office looking intently at the Bible and felt like, "Oh my God, what in the world are you looking for in the Holy Book?" said the reporter. Fields, caught red-handed, but always quick-witted, replied, "I'm looking for loopholes." I hope none of you here today are looking for loopholes. On occasion, maybe we all. I do know that we are all looking for something. We're looking for something from life, from work, from family, from faith, from love, from spirituality. In my own life and spiritual journey, I've looked to Jesus for guidance. Not just his words, but his actions, his spiritual process, and his connection with I am. Much of my search has involved a lot of careful reading of these scriptures, like the book of John, but increasingly my search involves me in curious questioning. I'm continually taking a deeper dive into understanding our own humanity, our human journey. Actually, it's called fatherhood. My own life, my journey with my family, my wife, my children, and strangers has been changed and challenged and shaped and molded, not just by the words I've read in the Bible, but the pain and the struggle and the joy the triumph, the anxiety, the gifts, and so much more that has been part of who I am and who I will be. And that's life, right? That's life. In the overall balance of things, I can safely say that I am blessed, deeply blessed. I didn't earn my good fortune, just as the lame man by the pool didn't earn his bad fortune. 38 years of struggle, fruitless struggle, to be healed. So as I approached this passage from John, I looked closely for what Jesus was looking for. And what I found to be true, not only in this encounter with the lame man at the pool, but with the woman at the well. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the woman at the well. With Zacchaeus, with the woman accused of adultery, and with many of his own disciples, with those who came to him to be healed and taught. What I found is that Jesus looked for people who were invisible, broken, helpless, and friendless. The invisible and the broken. They're all around us. They are us. Brokenness and invisibility have been commonplace for the vast majority of human history. I teach history when I get a chance. And many Americans have been able to take the Enlightenment ideals of equality and justice and liberty and the pursuit of happiness for granted. But these ideals have been unattainable for most people and continue to be fleeting at best for many here in our own country and for most people across the world. Breaks my heart. Oppression and poverty, war-torn nations, the enslaved and despised, minorities. Heaven has been the only hope for justice and for equality for most people throughout history. The only salve for their brokenness and pain. But I prefer to join the refrain of the great theologian Bob Marley, who sang, "If you know what life is worth, you would look for yours on earth." Now you see the light, so stand up for your rights. Or the prophet Amos, let justice roll down like water, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. I'm looking for justice. I'm looking for righteousness and equality for every person. I'm looking for the wisdom to treat everyone I meet equally and respectfully. And most often what I find that I am looking for is Jesus himself. I'm looking to learn from the spiritual master. The helpless and the friendless. The sick man said, "I can't." Said, "I can't. For I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me. I can't." It's the cry of the helpless. As parents, we've heard this cry many times. We get one almost daily. And in all honesty, I've made this plea myself on more than a few occasions. I have no one to help me. It is the cry of the friendless, or of those too proud to ask for help, or of those afraid to seek help. The truth is, we all fall into these categories at some point. Our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, our wills get broken. Hopes and dreams, or even our friends, seem to vanish. At some point or another, we find ourselves lying by the healing pool, hoping God shows up. And I would venture to say that if we were to share with one another these moments of feeling broken or invisible, friendless, and or helpless, we would also be able to share with one another our experiences with the presence, the power, the light, Spirit of Jesus. As you can tell, I'm a bit of an emotional person. In the course of 1 year in my life, I left pastoral ministry, having burned down a lot of things churchy over the years. We moved our family to Bend, Oregon, and then I found myself signing divorce papers. Two of the pillars of my life had been swept away. And instead of pastoring, instead of leading my family, I was pushing carts in the Costco parking lot and mopping the bakery at 10 o'clock at night, wondering what my fancy Princeton Theological Seminary degree was really doing for me. I was broken and I felt invisible. I lived in a lonely apartment 4 days a week, and with my kids at the house the other 3. It was a time of deconstruction and rediscovering of my own heart and spirit. Actually, it was really hard work. Tears were shed, miles and miles were run. I'm a runner. Decided that in that time I was going to run a marathon, so I had to run a lot of miles. Much was contemplated. I had friends and family who helped me on that journey. And after 15 months, I met my spiritual soulmate. Was that healing? Yes, that was healing. And Jesus was at the heart of it. I think one of the obsessions we have with healing is that it should be instantaneous. I'm not saying miracles don't happen that way. I'm just saying that they rarely do. I compare it to our obsession with winning the lottery. Sure, it happens, but not very often. Not to very many people. In the end, I'm a little unsure of the benefits, actually, because I've read the articles that tell of how many have ended up bankrupt, have died by suicide, have ended up with broken families, ripped apart, because they won the lottery. The thing that we think is just so fantastic. Instantaneous healing to me is a lot like that. I can't help but think for the man who had been lame for 38 years to suddenly be miraculously healed would probably create some other problems for him as well. My point here is that healing is much more frequently a long and arduous road of exploration, recovery, hard work, demanding therapy, treatments and surgery, professionals and pain and patience and so much more. That's true whether the healing is physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's psychological, it's relational, or it's spiritual. Jesus journeyed to Jerusalem for feast time. And where did he go? He didn't go to the temple, at least not that John tells us, or First Synagogue of Jerusalem, or the town square, or the market, or the festival. Jesus went to the hundreds of people lying on the porches surrounding the pool of Bethesda. What was Jesus looking for? He was looking for broken, invisible, helpless, and friendless people. And he saw a man who had been lying there, waiting to be healed for 38 years, and asked him actually a very profound question. He asked him, "Would you like to get well?" Healing requires first and foremost that we want to get well. Wanting healing means that the pain of our situation is so great that we're willing to seek healing. Change usually requires that the pain of continuing to do the same things becomes greater than the potential pain of addressing the source or sources of our pain head on. When our pain is emotional, psychological, or spiritual, addressing it often means addressing wrongs done to us and or wrongs we have done to others. This means digging into painful memories, our resulting inner thoughts about those, and our feelings about those things, and the broken relationships that often have resulted. Would you like to get well? It is an invitation by the Spirit of God to begin a difficult journey towards greater freedom, deeper love of self, of others, and of God. But it also requires our action. Jesus told this man, and he's telling us today, stand up, pick up your mat and walk. We can't walk forward first without standing on our feet. We can't rid ourselves of the past without picking it up and carrying it into the process of healing. We will never make progress until we start walking. Until we decide that doing nothing about our pain is worse than doing the hard work of healing our pain. Stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. When my wife and I decided to get married and blend a family of 6 kids, we also decided we couldn't do it without community and therapy. We found a marriage counselor, marriage and family counselor, and she guided us through a lot of tumultuous years. It got messy really, really fast. I've joked for years I want to get all of us one of these jerseys right here. We talked about it. We took them all to Disneyland that first year, and I wanted us all to wear those jerseys together because life is messy. Family is messy. And it keeps getting messy. Stand up, pick up your mat. Walk. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl wrote a profound book about his experiences in the Nazi concentration camp. And I just want to read this quote. The experiences of camp life show that humanity does have a choice of action. There were enough examples, often of a heroic nature, which proved that apathy could be overcome, irritability suppressed. Humanity can preserve a vestige of spiritual freedom, of independence of mind, even in such terrible conditions of psychic and physical stress. Fundamentally, therefore, any person can, even under such circumstances, decide what shall become of them mentally and spiritually. They may retain their human dignity even in concentration camp. It is this spiritual freedom which cannot be taken away, that makes life meaningful and purposeful. The way in which a person accepts their fate and all the suffering it entails, the way in which they take up their cross gives them ample opportunity, even under the most difficult of circumstances, to add a deeper meaning to their life. It may remain brave, dignified, and unselfish. Or in the bitter fight for self-preservation, they may forget their human dignity and become no more than an animal. Here lies the chance for a person either to make use of or to forgo the opportunities of attaining the moral values that a difficult situation may afford them. When we are no longer able to change the situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. The passage ends, he rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. Jesus, we come here today looking for you. We come here today looking for guidance. We come here today looking for healing. We come here today looking. Send us away walking. Walking towards that which you desire us to do, to where you desire us to go, to the person you desire us to speak to the pain you desire us to relieve. Help us to pick up our mat. Empower us to pick up our mat and to walk today. In Jesus' name.